After being down by 2 for a decent chunk of this game, the Winnipeg Jets come out on top, move to 5-0 on the year, and are the last undefeated team in the NHL. Now, credit where it's due, the team looks terrifying. Not only do you have the foundation of a Vezina-winning goaltender who's playing Vezina-caliber hockey, for my money, he and Shesterkin are the best goalies in the league, bar none. You've got a legit number 1 pillar defenseman in Josh Marcy who gets seriously underrated. You've got a kind of new coach. I mean, he was an assistant with the team under Rick Bowness, filled in as head coach on an interim basis, but there still seems to be some freshness in that switch and getting them to play the right way, and so far so good. And then of course there are the big boys up front. Scheifele drives the bus for this forward group, especially now that he's committed more to the defensive side of the game in the past, I'd say, year and a half. Let me know when you started noticing it, Jets fans. Kyle Connor's an elite goal scorer. I'm excited to see what he can do for Team USA at the Four Nations face-off. And then there's Nick Ehlers. This guy to me has been one of the best second line players in the whole league for years. The trade rumors have been swirling around him for months, but he doesn't care. Just goes out and keeps being productive and consistent. And then I've mentioned this since they announced it, I think Adam Lowry was such a great choice as captain. Scores that massive goal today and plays in one of the best third lines in hockey with him, Appleton, and Niederreiter. This team's got so much going for it, including pretty much all the most important pieces for success. Elite number 1 goalie, true number 1 D-man, elite goal scorer, offensive depth, high-end 1C. It makes sense why they started the season so hot. Here's the thing though, this isn't the first time this has been the story for the Jets. 2 years ago, the team wasn't quite as strong and didn't get off to nearly as good a start as they did here, but the same core pieces were all there, except Blake Wheeler and PLD were there instead of Gabe Velarde and Alex Iafallo. Hellebuck had a great year, was nominated for the Vezina, the big boys all produced. They wobbled in the second half of the season, especially once the calendar turned to 2023, but it was still a pretty good team with aspirations of going on a deep playoff run. Instead, they get handled in 5 games by Vegas, but hey, it was the eventual Stanley Cup champions. Hellebuck's numbers didn't look great in the playoffs, but again, Stanley Cup champions. There's a great core here, make a few minor tweaks and come back next season with a vengeance. And boy did they ever. 37 wins the Vezina. That was the best I think Scheifele's looked in years. Connor had 34 and 65 and would have had more if not for that pretty demoralizing knee injury. Lowry had a great first year as captain. That PLD trade came up aces for the Jets. Ehlers was really feeling it. Some of the goals he was scoring were nuts. Things were looking so good for this team that Kevin Cheveldayoff saw this as a chips-in year. You don't see him make a ton of pure rental, try to push the team over the top trade deadline moves, but he made 2 big ones last year. I don't count Colin Miller there because he's still with the team now, so he wasn't a rental, but those Toffoli and Monahan moves, those were as win now as it gets. Then they actually got to the playoffs and Colorado fed them their lunch. Out in 5, Hellebuck for the second year in a row, just really not good playoff numbers. So coming into this year, look, I want the Jets to do well. I want them to go on a deep run. That 2018 run with the whiteout and Portage in Maine, that legendary Game 7 against Nashville, it was so much fun to watch. I'd love to see it again. But seeing this start, in the back of my head, I'm just wondering like, okay, what makes this time different from last year and from the past 2 seasons even? Because I want to buy in, I want to believe, and the team looks really good. And Jets fans are in mid-season ruthless form with the Where's Rutger chants. But I hope this is the year where they can prove that, hey, we're not just regular season warriors. This core can be a legit cup contender. And so far, I mean, 5-0. It's super early, and obviously you don't put too much stock into that, but what else can you do at this point to prove that? I mean, you can't go 6-0 with 5 games played. Jets fans, give me your read on this team here, especially compared to the most recent iterations. If you do think this time it's going to be different, why does it feel different? Is it just the 5-0 or is it something else? If you want more Jets content, let me know. This is definitely a team I'm keeping a close eye on this year. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.